What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another live to roll. Doing it from home today, not in the studio. So hopefully our internet and everything is good. But yeah, welcome to the Live to Roll show. We're just gonna kind of have a little bit of a hangout Q&A, but also kind of talk some more. If you have any like caregiving questions or travel or any questions from last week, Bobby said the chat was getting pretty heavy. So if you guys have anything from last week you want to address or bring back up, feel free to do that in the chat. So yeah, I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 21 years ago. Bobby, you want to go for it? We'll let Tom.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna just tell you, you have better internet right there than you do in your studio. Because every time we go live, we get blurred, even though it doesn't show it on their side. We get blurred, but you're perfect right now. Like we are all.
It
Do you
might
notice
be
that?
the. Does that happen on the Thursday shows? Because it might be the computer. So that's I think it's the laptop versus the having the iMac. My iMac is now a few years. It's I got that in 2020 or 2021. I got it right at the start of 21. So
It's
like that's the things with computers is that I think it's the computer, not the internet. But yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6, quadriplegic, 36 years from a bicycle accident. Mr. Tommy Boy, take it away.
Tom Conaway, C6B, quadriplegic for the last 27 years. Coming at you from pretty gray Southern California. And yeah, ready to talk shop, quad shop.
Shopaholic.
Gosh, that's right. Uh,
So now you're on your laptop, right?
yeah, so I'm on the laptop this now.
Okay.
So that's what I think it's honestly the difference because I've noticed that before in doing it. The MacBook seems to do better. Um, and I don't know if that's because of the processor and stuff in it because the new MacBook Pros have the oh now I can't.
M1,
Yeah, the M1.
M1.
Let's save the talk for after the shows,
We'll do tech talk
fellas.
later.
We're getting everybody in the chat though. We got Grandma in the chat. Of course, our show wife is in the chat. Jay Bird, what's up, bud? Derek, Mickey, we
Gracie,
miss you, Mickey. Gracie and Paul, Leon. Yeah, quad talk, guys. So that's what we're here for. Q&A today, just hanging out. So you ask away, but how's everybody doing here?
I'm doing okay.
surviving.
Yeah.
Surviving.
Yeah, pretty much doing not too bad. It's been for Southern California and like should be entering summer. It's been damn cold out here, so I've just been trying to keep warm and hang out and wait for the warm to. I'm kind of enjoying the little bit of the cooler weather before it does get hot because it's gonna get hot soon,
I'm
and then
gonna say I'm trying to enjoy it while it's here because I know that it's gonna be brutal in a couple of weeks, probably. Maybe even by the weekend. It sounds like it could be heating up. So
Yeah, I have an app, Strava, I use for tracking my miles on cycling, and then when I push, and then also when I work out, it tracks how many, like if I worked out for 58 minutes, and then it tracks that. But it's asking me like, what's going on, dude? You're not riding, and it's like, it's not like cold, but when I get out there and you're moving and it's just hitting you in the chest and the neck and the ears, and it's just like after a while you're just sort of miserable, and so I'm just refusing to buy cold cycling gear. It's just like we don't need it I don't need it that often, so I just don't want to buy it. So
yeah, suck it up and buy it, man. That's what I know when I get. Well, hopefully when I get that hand cycle, I'm really hoping that the Kelly Brush grant comes through in another month or so, and I can get my cycle. Um, but I do know that I will be prepared for warm and cold weather. I don't like being cold. I don't want the cold wind on my face.
yeah.
I'm gonna be ready for next winter.
Well, I did have a lot going on over the last couple of months with my mom's passing and training for that other stupid thing, High Rocks. So it's not like, but I'm missing it. I'm going tomorrow, no matter what. It says sunny tomorrow, 69 and sunny. So
Yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna get.
told it was supposed to warm up by Thursday, so
Yeah,
we got one more day
Yeah.
before we start
All
to
right.
see warmer weather.
yeah. So
So
it
if you
looks like
guys-
yeah, maybe even 80 by Friday. So
well, it's
that's gonna
supposed to be
be
yeah the
good.
weekend. I think it's supposed to hit out here. It's supposed to hit I think 90 on one of the days. I think Saturday or something. So it'll be a quick turnaround.
So we just
Um,
can't have
so,
happy medium in California. It's either this or this.
I know. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that you guys want to bring up, either weather related or anything otherwise, let us know. The one thing that I was going to mention or start talking about that I had mentioned to these guys was the caregiving aspect and kind of like relationships with, family, friends, doing your care, like relationships just with the caregivers you hire, and kind of like how important those dynamics and things can be. Because I've been, between my own life and things, and then friends and stuff, and newer injuries I've met, and like have family helping and things like that. I've been hearing like a lot of different stuff, and like so just thought it was something kind of important to talk about. If you guys have anything, you want to mention, um, and that's I wanted to also make sure to highlight a little bit of if there's anybody in the chat I know besides Leah, but that does do care and help. Like it's also great to hear from the other side, the other perspective, from the people that are helping us out with our daily needs and stuff. Um, but have you guys had any um, either family, friends, or caregivers you hired situations turn poorly or turn negative over time or anything like that? Or
I've had I've had my mom abandon the middle of my care, being like, "Fuck you! Someone else can help you. Your dad can help you. I'm getting out of here. I can't do this anymore."
and that's what I'm talking
I've,
about. Is that
That's the
I've
one thing
pushed,
about family. They'll ditch you. They're like, I don't care. I'm out of here. You're like,
I pushed my family to the edge. Like when I was younger, it was like my mom was kind of my primary caregiver. My dad would help out and do it sometimes when my mom needed someone to take over if she was out of town or something. But and that was just like a handful of times where mom and sometimes everyone's like living life, and everyone wakes up, and sometimes like things clash, right? And the more you know someone, the better you know someone, the bigger that clash can be, because the closer you are to them, you just know how to like cut closer, or like just make it more personal and make it feel more personal. And I have like the best relationship in the world with my parents and with my brother and sister, my family. But sometimes two thunderstorms come together at the wrong time, and they collide, and it's like, and it's no fault of anybody's, but you just deal with it. You just deal with it. Like, we just deal with it. Like, with it, usually within a couple hours, like, we apologize, hug each other, like, everything's fine, everything's good. It's different though when you're like hanging naked from a ceiling lift, like in the middle of the hallway, and you have to wait for your dad to like come and take you to your room and help you get dressed and stuff. Like,
oh my god, image burned. No,
I don't get too turned
Control
on
Alt
over my
Delete. Control Alt Delete. Jeez. Oh yeah, yeah.
But that is
mom.
exactly like Tom. Like that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like stuff like that it can be hard sometimes when you have like friends and family doing your care for you because, like Tom was just saying, that's the people you're closest to. That's who you're most comfortable with. That's who you feel the most comfortable. Like, and sometimes when you are that comfortable, like you let all your emotions out. You let all your frustrations out and things. Um, and that's just yeah, that's not a it doesn't make for a good environment with your family. And I know like that's happened to me in my past before, with like even traveling with my brother Jeff and having him do care for me on occasion. Like we can get along great a lot of times, but during care stuff, when you're relying on somebody to help you with things, like frustrations can build. And I know like there's been definitely plenty of times where we had butted heads like like pretty much the same thing where he had to walk away, but there was like we were traveling and there was nobody else really to help. So he'd walk away for a few minutes or something, but come back and be like, okay, like like we usually could kind of push past that, and then now like it
Yeah,
just
cigarette and calm down. I'll be back.
yeah, like,
Because with a family member can get frustrated at you faster than somebody else, where they're like inside going, "I just want to kick his butt," but family member will just say, "Listen here, I'm done with you, bye." They know they're going to come back, or but it has that a tendency to go over the top, and uh, you know, I think Nicole said, or no, who said it right now? Derek, I think it was. Caregiver burnout with family members is something to be considered, and I know it is
yeah,
for my wife right now. I mean, we do have help come in, but trust me, there's times when it's just like um, it's just one thing after another. It becomes day in and day out, and that's the crappy thing when it comes to using your family, your wife, your parents, brother. Um, we try not to take it for granted, but it becomes automatically, and it's a hard road to travel. It's doesn't have a lot of maps, and you know being considerable towards your caregivers, it goes a long way. The please and the thank yous, and the one thing that I try to do in my head is always have a plan for what am I going to wear, or what do I really need, lay it out, and try not to say, oh, one more thing. If my wife hears that saying, one more thing, she's going to kill me. So, I mean, if I go missing one day, it was because I said one more thing, please.
well that's yeah, that is the thing. It's hard with care and stuff, like especially when you're like stacking and stuff like on top like that, when it's like, oh, and this, oh, and this, like because I can
Don't worry,
see how that'd
buddy.
be frustrating.
I'll write a nice eulogy for you. Okay, don't worry. You'll be
Cool.
remembered fondly.
Put me in high
Um,
regard.
I patience is super important. It's something that has to be learned, I think, by everybody at some point. Not some people maybe are born with it. I don't know. I certainly had to learn patience, and that's helped me in a lot of places in my life. Like being patient with caregivers that aren't family members too, especially. It's like learning to be patient. With my family members and the people like I relied on to help me. Being considerate of others always is really, really important, but especially of people that are helping you. Just being kind, showing love, showing gratitude, and being polite certainly. Just to acknowledge that you appreciate and are acknowledging the help, and because that is really, really important. It is a lot of work, it is a lot of sacrifice, and that burnout is for real. And something that I think can help is just to make sure to acknowledge that you really appreciate everything that these people are doing for you, because it's important to do that.
Mm.
Um,
John,
and yeah,
well, with you, and I haven't had this. Something I was just thinking, and I've heard the horror stories of the most popular is they just don't show up, and I've had that where I hired someone. She's like, okay, okay, yep, see you Monday. Okay, great. And they didn't never showed up for their first shift. But I've heard some where they've had them for a couple months or a couple years, and then they just stop coming altogether. So, what's your most horrid stories? Is it not showing up, or have you ever been robbed? Which I've heard from time to time, people being robbed.
uh,
What's your most horrid story?
my biggest horror stories is someone just doing care improperly and like hurting me. Not like maliciously like abusing me or like trying to hurt me, but like they didn't know how to catheterize someone, and like because of that, or like we're careful enough, like on a certain step of my care, and cause like bodily injury. That's hard. That's hard. Like, don't fucking hurt me, okay? Like, I can stay patient and be kind, and like, don't hurt me, and I will even still continue to be patient and kind. But that's when like I'll start to get a little bit emotional, and it's not so much like a temper will flare, but like I just really get frazzled and emotional and like start to have a hard time. I don't know. I used to get that way just with like someone new coming in that you never met before that's about to like gonna get naked in front of you. They're gonna put things inside of you, whether it's a catheter tube or like an enema or something. Like it's it's intense. It's intense, and it was a learned experience. My mom and dad started to like go away for a weekend during like my teenage year. Once I got a little bit older, and we did like hire outside care, and it was like a different process. It was like someone that came over to the house and got to meet and got very familiarized, and then my mom demonstrated my care and trained them and stuff, and it was like very familiar and very comfortable. But it did start to help me prepare for the real world of like moving out and having to rely on outside caregivers, um, and having like caregivers to agencies, I got like really used to kind of quick turnover. I had like caregivers that lasted like years and years and years, but I've had caregivers that only been here for like 5 or 6 months, or caregiver went out of town for a couple weeks, had someone sub in and stuff. And then I've had like really long term reliable caregivers for like 5 or 6 years, that were just with me, that were close by, and it just is like a thing that worked. Um, I've been taking advantage of maybe a little bit because I've become like too friendly with the caregivers. And I hesitate to say that because I don't think you could ever become too friendly with someone. But if they're using that friendship to maybe take advantage of you and like not do their job because, you're so comfortable with them that, like they feel like that maybe that's okay. That's not okay. And I've had to like change up care or like have a conversation, I mean, like, like for instance, an example, I had this awesome nurse who worked at a hospital, but also like did home health care. And we became buddies. He was like right around my age. We had just got along really well, very similar interests, and we just became bros. We'd go hang out, like he'd help me out the 2 or 3 days a week he was here, but he was really busy with his other job. He has a son, has, busy family life and stuff. And he texts me some mornings being like, hey, bro, like I woke up late. I'm not going to be able to make it today or something. And that's okay every once in a while. It was fine, but it started becoming like a very regular thing. And it was really important for me to get my care certain days, and not certain days, but every day that it was scheduled and it was meant to happen. And I ended up having to switch. I talked to him first, be like, bro, like I want to just be super flexible all the time, but it's hard. Like it's affecting me. And it was like, I totally understand. And it just came to kind of a point where he couldn't help me in the way that he was able to before. And I just had to move on and find someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Hey, I just want to do one quick shout out.
yeah,
Andrew, who joins us all the time, glad to hear you got your new heart. I know we haven't seen you in the chat, and I think that's why. So, congratulations, Andrew Hunt, on getting your new heart. And um, awesome. And Hip Crip is in the chat. We haven't seen
Yeah,
him in a
I was gonna say that's good to see it. But
but I just
yeah.
wanted to shout out to him.
We got Ken in the chat too. What up, Ken?
And I was gonna say, Ken
Ken.
just put in his chat that he's been fortunate to only have two caregivers in the past 25 years, which
Oh,
that
that's
is
awesome.
pretty incredible. Yeah, that is to have that long and solid of like caregiving relationships. I was gonna say, I actually have only had, I think maybe 3 to 4 years is probably the longest I've had any caregivers,
I
like
had
at one
I
time.
had 10. I had 10. Let's see here, 10, 10, and I guess 10, 10, and 10. Three. I've had three, and this fourth one is now going on, close to five.
My two longest caregivers was this woman named Joyce who worked at a VA hospital near me, and she was like with me for like 6 years. And then she retired and moved to Arizona, which is awesome. I'm like super happy for her and her husband. And then she had a friend who also worked at the VA who she referred me to, who was with me for like 4 or 5 years after that, until again she retired and moved to Tennessee. Uh, but those are probably like the most long term, like best, like consistent caregivers that I ever had. Like in terms of just being really consistent on time, and like I mean, I would like not even be here sometimes, and like Lynn, she helped me with my cleaning and stuff like around my apartment. I just like give her a key, be like, just come in, do your thing, like trust you. And thinking like that sounds kind of crazy on its head, but it was cool to have someone that I could just trust. If I was busy and out and like couldn't be here, that I could still trust that like my place would be clean when I came back and everything would still be there. So I've been fortunate, and I yeah, as far as like any home health people, like through an agency, they're all background checked and vetted. I'm not saying that bad stuff can't happen. I've had just like bad caregivers, but no one that I like felt threatened from, or like I felt like they were nosing through my shit when I wasn't, like in the room with them or something.
Yeah, I think um, who was it? Derek said, I think it was Derek or Leon said about their medications being stolen, and I
Yeah, I
know
think Leon.
and Andrew has brought up over the years of being in our chat has been said he's been robbed by his caregivers, jewelry taken. So yeah, there's some horror stories out there, and I've heard them from other people about being, them taken advantage of, which is got to be, you might as well just grab your card and go to hell right now. I mean, if you're going to be doing stuff like that, it's just amazing to me how many people would even dream of thinking of doing that to somebody who's can't get up and run after them or something like that.
I also heard recently, this isn't so much like the client being a victim, but being the like person doing the crime, is that there's been some home health nurses that were attacked in the valley and sexually assaulted, going and visiting a client, like an elderly client, like overpowered them and sexually assaulted them when they were there to like administer medication or like do an injection or something.
Oh
Just so
wow.
fucking scary.
Yeah,
Super,
I
super
can
scary.
see
Yeah,
it going both ways. I can see it going both ways. There's definitely others that can take advantage of the caregivers. It's a scary thing bringing anybody into your home. I mean, once you get past a certain point, and you can start relaxing and trusting them, you know, and getting to learn about them, it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, I can picture it. Unfortunately,
yeah, I know
Uh,
that's kind of stuff like that can happen, and which seems you wouldn't think like there that like somebody that needs care would be doing stuff like that, but yeah, no, it can go both ways. People are um, you got to be careful. That's why even like Leah, like before she like ever like worked for me when I was hiring her, she looked me up. She looked up my name. She looked up all the info, like, and she sent me all her info and her background check and all her scan, like whatever things. And I didn't even look it up because I never really did before. I never honestly checked anybody's background before. And I was just like, oh, cool, great. And she thought that was
I
weird as
checked
hell.
their
She's like, you didn't
background
even look
with a
my
vibe
background
check.
check. What?
I said I do a background check, a vibe background check. Like I
That's
just
what
check their
I was
vibe.
like, okay. I talked to, I would talk to people and just be like, all right, seems good, seems all right. And I've been somewhat fortunate not to have any super bad stories, but I have had stuff stolen from me before from my house, like little things that I didn't notice initially, and then yeah, and I maybe even more that I never noticed because I'm just aloof and didn't notice. They maybe took a few things, or I had a five or something sitting out, and they took like some cash. Like because I've always been a little bit lackadaisical with like leaving cash, whatever. Like I just pretty trusting. I'm like, yeah, whatever. They're not gonna take it. Like, um, so I'm sure I've had a little bit, but I've never had anything like major, like broke in or came back and robbed me or something like. I've had a couple. I had one caregiver. I think I told this on here once when we were talking about caregivers. A guy that I had found and hired, and he had worked for me probably not like he was kind of like an on-call caregiver I had found around here. Came in probably like I don't know 20, 30 times, like throughout like over like a year or so. Um, and then one of the days he was like crazily spraying bleach spray, and it was literally like you could literally see the mist hitting my toothbrush and stuff. And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm like, can you kind of like just watch where you're spraying the spray, like kind of keep it down? It's kind of like I was getting misted on my shoulder. I'm like on the like just kind of I literally I unless I don't remember it correctly, but I distinctly remember asking him like pretty politely. I'm usually pretty nice. Like, can you please just not do that? And he flipped out on me like he's like, what? Tell me what to do. Like and just basically threw the bottle down on the counter, walked into the room, grabbed his keys and stuff, and left. And like I was like I literally didn't know what the hell just happened. I was like, what the fuck just happened? My grandma came back there like, hey, that guy just walked out the front door. I was like, what? Like he I think there was other shit going on. I honestly at this point thinking back like he may have had some sort of a substance abuse issue. um like because it was the weirdest shit I ever like one of the weirdest encounters I ever had. I'm like, can
I
you
don't care.
like
Go ahead.
dude. I was just like, it was just so random, dude, to like ask somebody, can you please not miss that, like bleach spray on my toothbrush, and like to be met with that reaction. But
Poison me with chemicals. How dare you ask me that?
Oh
You son
man, I know. He
uh,
was trying to.
I had a caregiver ghost me one time after like coming for a couple weeks, and they like I make a point to always just be super considerate and kind to my caregivers and extra patient, and just always try to be the best like employer. Like I always try to keep my place super clean and stuff, and I do think anybody that's maybe struggling to keep caregivers or like just important when hiring caregivers, it is your responsibility. You're having like someone outside come into your home. I know that they're there to help you with things within your home, but it's also somewhat your responsibility to make sure that inappropriate things aren't laying out. You know, if you smoke weed, like that your bong's not just like, out with like weed everywhere. If they're not comfortable with that, or, like if, you had a lady over and like, there's not like, underwear all over the place and sex toys and lubricant everywhere, and how it
jeez,
goes.
Tom, you spraying while your wall.
Yeah, man. So, but hey, I always make sure it's cleaned up before a nurse comes over. Um, I so I always like try to just be super kind, super nice, make sure that they're super comfortable, especially new caregivers. I had this caregiver came for a couple weeks, and then like they left one day. I like went to go message them like the next day, and like the message wouldn't go through, like the call wouldn't go through, like they blocked my number and just ghosted, like with nothing. And it made me trip out. Like I was going through my head, like I was freaking out for like a week. Like, was I rude? Did I say something? Like, did I do something like that, like triggered them? Like I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. But I think sometimes people, you don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know who they are necessarily. They might just be shady people. They might have weird, quirky stuff. They might have substance abuse issues. They might have a lot of other stuff going on in their life, or just a lack of consideration for you. Like it's under the table job. You're paying them cash. They're just like, fuck you, I'm out. Like I'm gonna ghost. If you have someone hired through an agency, like someone like supportive services, or through an agency where they have an employer and stuff, um, they're less likely to just disappear, because I think you could lose your potential to be one of those providers in that situation if you do behave like that. So there might be some like uh, protection, like if you go that route. But I always just try to feel the vibe. Usually, if I can tell if someone's a good person the first couple times I meet them, and if there's something shady going on, usually I can tell that pretty quick too. Not it's not perfect, but um, you know,
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
with most people you can, unless they're like a true sociopath and like hiding it, like completely like. But I don't think that that's very common. Go ahead, Bobby.
yeah.
Sorry.
I know. I know. You said you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say. I mean, I think we can, especially just being in a chair, you can get a good vibe a lot easier about especially how people handle just the certain type of care. Um, it's not an easy job, and especially that first morning training them, the first time rolling you in a shower, helping you out. It's when we say, "Gosh, you know, it's bad enough we can't walk," right? And then then it's bad enough we don't have control of our bowel and bladder. It's bad enough that we have to watch our skin 24 hours a day. Bad enough then when you have to, worry about bringing a stranger into your home to take care of you or to do some personal things. It's just like one of those other things that we have to think about.
Yeah, it's
I
a
mean, I've
definitely.
thought about how vulnerable I am too. Like it's crossed my mind sometimes. Like, if someone wanted to like hurt me or take advantage of me, like in worst case scenario, it's like I've thought about like what would you do, bro? Like, what honestly, what would you do? Um, and I don't. I'm still not quite sure. I think I'd probably try to talk my way out of the situation. And barring that, I don't know what else I could do. Like, uh,
Yeah, no, that's what is scary, especially as a quad. You can be pretty vulnerable, especially like Tommy said, if they get you up onto the here and then just like, all right, now like, because then you're
like
vulnerable. You can't push yourself. You can't move. You can't. You have no chair. You're basically completely, at the will of somebody at that point. So, and like for me, if I'm on my commode chair, if I transfer into like, like
yeah.
I'm gonna need
You know,
help. Like so.
before we got on, I was watching uh, on YouTube when people instant karma when you're like cut somebody off, and then all of a sudden there was a cop, and how everybody has been going to dash cams, in case so they have a record of if they were in an accident. So one by one, all of these people who had karma cutting somebody off or turning in front of somebody, and you know, have you guys? Would you guys ever considered like putting a camera in your home? And if you do you have to disclose that? Or if any of you out there, let me know if you've thought about putting a camera just in case, unless there is some abuse that can happen. There is some like things go missing, or you have an argument and they walk out on you and leave you in a bad spot where you can't reach the phone or something. I don't know. I just thought of it for the first time.
Yeah, no, I mean that is for cameras. I actually, when I lived in my Woodland Hills house, when I was like living on my own, I did actually have a camera in my like bedroom office because it was all like one room, so it was like more on the office, but you could see the bedroom in the background part of it. And I had a camera on my front door, a camera on the gate when you came in. Um,
That
so
situation was a lot different.
it was different, but and so the thing was, I didn't have a camera in the living room or kitchen or anything out there. So whatever, like those were uncovered areas. But anybody coming in or out of my house, I knew was on camera. Like I had their license plate on my camera, I had them on my camera walking in and out, and all my money and things like that was kept in my room, which was on the camera. So like, yeah, and that was not. They weren't hidden. They were blatantly like I had a monitor in my room that was on showing the camera feeds. So it wasn't
I
a secret.
I think if you have like outside cameras pointing outside, like to like public, area or like the street towards the street or just like your out front door or whatever, I think it's
Right.
fine. You certainly don't have to notify anybody if you
Right.
are having caregivers coming in your house. And I think it's super common now, like to have cameras in your house. Like a lot of like parents have it for their kids when they're not home. They leave for 5 minutes. They can just watch on their phone or something if they go to the neighbors or whatever. But if you do have cameras in your house, you have caregivers coming in and out, you should notify them that. And you can even say it's for everyone's protection. It's for your protection as much as my protection. If you even like say like you sign an agreement like I will never like release any of this footage, publicly or whatever. Like I don't know if you like if that's even that important to them, but I think it's a relatively common thing nowadays and not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just worry about someone hacking my cameras and releasing all my, live footage online or something. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Look, they can hack mine, and everybody be like, man, he's got a boring life. you know, like all he does is watch sports all day.
uh,
So a comment earlier I really wanted to comment on is Nicole said, I've learned to be interdependent throughout my life because I think it's important to be interdependent dependent and not codependent on caregivers. And I'm 100% with you. I make my caregivers sit and watch me transfer. Like they'll try to like come in and help me. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, give me a minute. Like when I'm in the shower, like I have them hand me the washcloth and put the soap on it, and like I'll sit there and like lift my leg and like scrub myself and do as much as I possibly can on my own. I don't care if it takes a few minutes longer. I think it's super, super important to one for me to like maintain that independence and that physical activity of providing care for myself, like like remaining independent with my transfers, remaining independent as much as I can with my hygiene and stuff, just so that I can be as prepared to do it in an instance when I needed to on my own. But also like I don't know, it's weird like sometimes having caregivers in your home when you're trying to do things on your own, and they're like stepping in and like insisting or like trying to like do it when you're perfectly capable and wanting to do it yourself, like, and that comes down to just communicating it to your caregiver. And I've like had to communicate that to almost all my caregivers. So a lot of them are paid, like they're here for an hour, like to help me with one aspect of my care or something. They're trying to get in and out, it's like, here, let me just help you to go a lot quicker. It's like, no, I appreciate it, thank you, it's only take like a minute or two extra, and like here's why I want to do it. And once they hear me just explain, like, just want to maintain my independence as much as possible, stay as active as possible, they're super understanding and super considerate. I've never had anyone being like, okay dude, like, oh, well, I'm out, like, you're doing, you're making this too hard, you're making this too difficult. But I think it's really important.
There is also other ways of making sure that you're prepared for your caregivers. Um, if they're not the ones shopping for you, but making sure like if they're the ones helping you prepare food, that wherever whoever helps you out with your food, if that's yourself or but having everything ready for them will also help out and not make things so frustrating. It's like, oh, I'm down to my last shirt, or I don't know, it's somewhere over there. No, you need to know where all your stuff is. Like, if I've
Yeah.
had caregivers in the past, like, where do you keep your box of gloves? Okay. They're on the second shelf labeled, with gloves and catheters, but to be organized. And like you commented earlier, Tom, about, trying to be, have a clean environment for them as well, and not be, kind of a slob, but also being prepared for, I kind of already plan out and making sure that I'm going to wear this, if they're going to be grabbing that stuff for me, or, or whatever it might be, just making sure that I know where that stuff is instead of just like, I don't know, it's somewhere around here.
And that's as much for your benefit as it is theirs, just being organized. Because a lot of times I had a caregiver here for an hour to help me with cleaning my place, or 2 hours to help me with my laundry or something, and then I'll just forget to tell them something that I really wanted them to do, because like I didn't have a list ready before they came or something, or like you just get distracted while they're there, because you didn't really think about to prepare for them before they were coming and stuff. And that's also what I meant like by be prepared for them is don't be super distracted and like like totally like another space. Like if they're there to help you, be prepared to be ready for that. It's okay to do other stuff while your caregiver is there, but just make sure your list is clear, make sure you have everything communicated. They're not just sitting there like twiddling their thumbs or struggling, and like feel like they're wasting time because you're not you know delegating properly, or you weren't really ready for them to show up.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that is important, I think, for sure, to have like a kind of a game plan for when they get there. You have a little bit of a checklist for things you want to get done, and then also make sure you have everything organized and ready for them to do it. So they're not
Yeah.
trying to scramble, find stuff, looking through stuff, like trying to, because you don't know where things are, if you have
and
something left.
And I'd say a lot of this is really more of like kind of the hiring process, making sure that you end up treating your caregivers right, but also like you end up with a good one too. Is after the first 4 or 5 months of them coming into your space and helping out with your care, whether it's medical or otherwise, they're gonna get the routine. They're not gonna have to ask as much questions. Like they're going to be a lot more familiar with your environment and with your space and what goes where. And, like you remind them a couple times, like, hey, don't put this on top of my fridge because I can't reach that. It's like if you could set it down on the counter, like that would be awesome. And so then they'll just kind of know it. They'll know it because they'll have done it. And that's really the best thing about, you want to be the best employer and best client because you want to get to that point where you have someone that you're really comfortable with, they're comfortable in your space, and you don't think about it as much. It's not a stressful thing. It's just operating and going through life at that point. And I mean, obviously, always maintain your patience, maintain your consideration and your gratitude, and everything. Um, just because you become comfortable with someone doesn't mean you can fall off the rails and like be inappropriate or do inappropriate things necessarily. Um, you know,
No, I,
continue doing that.
one of my long term, she was so great, but she used to get mad at me when and when I say, and this is what kind of brought it up, being prepared. Like, she would come into the house in the morning, and the first thing she would do is walk to the kitchen, turn on the coffee, and then come back and say hello. So the coffee's brewing, we're getting ready to go, get on the commode. So, so we can do the bells. And then once I'm all set up, then she go back out to the kitchen, grab my coffee. If I did not have my, buy coffee that, so she can do it, she used to be like, what's wrong? Why aren't you getting coffee? And it's just like, sorry. She used to just be so routine, and that, it would throw her off in a way. And I can tell they're like, and bless her heart, she didn't mean anything about it, like being mad at me. She just, I can tell it just got her off on the wrong foot. And that's how we became. And that's why I think I had her for so long until I moved out down to Orange County, that we just clicked on a routine that, how it come in, she would go there, boom, boom. It was just like everything was just oriented just how she liked it. And if she was thrown off in any way, or, or if I didn't do, had a clean pair of work pants, she's like, what? Are you kidding me? So what are you going to wear? I'm like, I don't know, smell something, something clean, you know. Uh, you remember the young days in your 20s, you're like, yeah, it's still doable.
If I was that
Well,
caregiver, I would have been like, "You smell that shit.
oh,
I'll pick
girl,
them up for your face." Go ahead, Tom.
uh, I I think coffee is maybe a little bit more trivial, but like if someone's there to help you get dressed and you don't have clean clothes, then I think that is kind of on you a little bit. Like you should have made sure that you had your other person who comes to help you with your laundry and stuff like the day before. You were at least like out of like totally like dirty clothes or whatever. And I don't know. For me, a big one too is always make sure I have my supplies maintained. I always make sure I have enemas. I always make sure I have like wipes and gloves and all that stuff, because then if someone comes in to do your care and you don't have the stuff for them to do your care, then what are they there for in the first place? And two, if they don't have gloves and things like that to maybe like feel like hygienic and stuff, you're putting them in an uncomfortable situation, and not really a safe or appropriate situation for you or them. And things like that are just your responsibility. You got to be prepared. You got to have your clothes laundered, Bobby. Coffee, we can miss a day. It's okay.
Yeah, but in your 20s, and I had the washer and dryer that I could do myself, and she used to always try
Well,
to offer it, and I just didn't do. I in my 20s, working just, and those things would happen, and it was on me. You're right, it was totally on
well,
me, and you're right. What John said. Yeah, I should smell them, not her.
they need to be they need to be flexible and respectful in a certain way too. Like if I wanted to wear a pair of sweats twice in a row because all my other pants were dirty, I wouldn't want to feel like persecuted or feel like that's wrong or like I'm in the wrong or something. Like that's not their job or their position to like judge you for like wearing like pair of sweats, like twice in a row or whatever that is. Like it's I don't think that's a big deal. And I don't know, sometimes if someone is type A or whatever you want to call them, and they come in and they're very controlling and OCD in your environment and also like of your behavior and like decisions you make, that's not their place. Like if I want to go out and like drink and have fun, like don't like judge me for like, wanting to go out with my friends or something. Don't
Yeah,
judge me for wanting to wear, the same pair of pants twice in a row. Like, that's not your place. If something is unhealthy, if something is inappropriate in, like a real meaningful way, certainly, make a comment, like, but don't get accusatory. Don't call someone out in a rude way. Don't let's have a conversation. Let's be adults. Like, this is a employee relationship. Like, let's talk it out.
Yeah. Now, Derek, I'm not going to say I haven't done it more than once. So for breeze it.
And I was gonna say, like Tom had mentioned at the end there, the only time I would feel like that, like it's never appropriate to shame somebody, but like if you got like piss covered, there was shit on them, and the caregiver was not just like kindly was like, maybe there's a better pair we could find. That's something where I'd be like, that's where that seems reasonable
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
give that input. But if it's just because they smelt a little bit from your smell, then I think that's Anger Quad says he wears them 4 times.
Before you wash it. Yeah. I
Quads
mean,
don't sweat. Yeah, so I mean,
they don't, but, and, one thing is, I mean, there are a lot of things that you can get away with, not washing because really laundry is very hard on your clothes. I mean, especially if you have something that you like and you wear it a lot, it washing it each time, like I try not to wash my sweatshirts every time because
oh yeah,
the washer is so hard on your clothes.
yeah. Hoodies, I definitely don't wash every time unless I spill something on it or something. I use a hoodie till it starts to get that little bit of a little. Does it smell dirty? Just kidding, not quite. I not anymore. Now Leah washes them a little more often than that, but I used to definitely.
Uh, Something that I wanted to say earlier, I forgot to, and I think it's kind of obvious, but learn how to direct your care in a meaningful, kind, respectful way. I mean, like, have it down, like, write a script out, like, have it in your head, like, be able to like teach and direct someone in the way that you want them to like help and perform your care. But also, like Leah said in the comment a minute ago, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Practice how you say it too. I mean, I've taught my care routine to so many people, like bladder irrigation, bowel care, Hoyer lift. Like, I mean, I swear at this point I could like teach a monkey to do it if they could, understand the words that were coming out of my mouth. Like, I can direct it so well and in like such detail. Like, I've had people like not understand something that I said, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should explain it like this. And now, like I've tweaked it over the years, like, kind of how I teach and train someone. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I've just had a lot of nurses like after our first like couple sessions, like, thank you for being so good at communicating your care and like teaching and like training and help me understand what and how, like what exactly to do. And it just makes the process a lot easier, and it's not something that's super obvious that for a lot of people, like it's something that you kind of have to learn. One, you have to learn your care routine for yourself, and then you have to learn how to kind of communicate that to other people. And it's something practice. It's kind of something that takes some time. And I just wanted to mention that because I think it should be kind of obvious, but it isn't super obvious, I think, to a lot of people to, kind of learn that, like learn that dialogue in your head on how to communicate your care and, how to maybe train someone to help you out.
Yep. And
No,
in your quad, that's not the first time I remember you saying this. And I always like to repeat it. Treat people how you want to be treated. Definitely is always the key. And no matter what situation, caregivers are just in life.
yeah,
Yeah.
and especially if you want a good, healthy caregiving like relationship, that mutual respect and communication is definitely important. And like Tom was just saying, making sure you're able to clearly communicate your needs and you know anything that you have to like direct during care. So
And sometimes that's even like, hey, like I'm a really friendly person. Like I can, just I'll always talk and friendly and, kind. Sometimes I'm having a hard time, and when I'm having a hard time, I can get real quiet and kind of shut down from the world a little bit. And I've had caregivers come in and like, kind of poking and prodding and talking to me, and I'm just not in that mood for that day. And I'll just let them know and be like, hey, like, just so you know, like, kind of having a hard day. Like, I'm just kind of feeling quiet. Like, just gonna, sit here on my computer and do my own thing. And that's totally cool and totally fine. Don't snap at them. Don't be rude at them. But sometimes you have to communicate that too. If you're in a mood, if you're upset, or if you're angry, if you're having a hard time, just let them know. Be like, hey, I'm just having a hard time. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk really, period. I just need to get this done. Thank you very much. Like, be polite, be kind, don't snap, but you can also communicate that too. I think that sometimes people forget that. Like, if you're not in a good mood, like, don't be forced into conversation. Don't be forced to like engage if you don't want to. Even if they're there to like help, help you with your stuff, just communicate to them so that they understand, you know, how you're feeling and what's going on. I think that is your responsibility and important to do.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Said, I think it would be hard to be a caregiver
Yeah.
to some, but to some others, man, there's some wonderful nurses out there in this world who would love to care for others, and I've seen them from time to time being in the hospital here and there. They just love their job and helping others, and they're passionate about it. And whenever I've seen them, I'm like, man, I wish I could hire you full time.
Yeah, and even that when even caregivers are amazing and they're super willing to help, and you can tell like their heart, like they care and they want to do it. It's still important, probably more important in those situations to not overly put like don't get so used to somebody being willing to do everything and help to where you just start putting everything on them and more, and then it just becomes an overburden and too much
Oh,
for somebody.
what is she saying in the background?
She's in agreement. We've had this conversation. um,
Ah,
but yeah, um, and yeah, and like
Awkward.
I said,
Oh, just
what's that?
I just said awkward. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, not every Superman is Superman every day. Just like Angry Quad said, it's like everybody has days. They need a break. Need to take it easy. Need your compassion.
Well, I think it's really important that what you said a minute ago too, Shawn, because just how I talked about earlier, like being so friendly that a caregiver kind of gets relaxed and kind of takes advantage of you and like the situation. The flip side is true. Like, you get so comfortable with someone, you can easily kind of without even realize sometimes end up taking advantage of someone too. Just because they have a hard time saying no, but you need to find the balance and stick to it. It can be really hard and it can take a lot of time. It's not something that's like, oh, I just figured it out. Like, it's gonna be some trial and some error. Almost everything that we talked about today can help you navigate the ups and the downs of it all, because there's gonna be ups and downs. There's gonna be great caregivers, there's gonna be hard times with great caregivers, there's gonna be bad caregivers, there's gonna be everything in between,
mm,
more than like um,
Yeah,
and you just got to figure it out.
yeah. Mickey pointed out today is National Nurses Day, so
I know.
for everybody who's a nurse out there, happy National Nurses Day.
And I consider pretty much like caregivers, nurses. I
Yep.
understand that nurses, whatever, but the work that caregivers do, and even in the hospital, that like the techs, CNAs, like the people, like there, there's a lot of people that do a lot of hard work
Oh,
out there in the nursing.
Shout out to my mama, best nurse in the whole wide world. I dare anybody to challenge that fact.
yeah. I will
Uh,
not.
No,
um, but shout out to all the nurses too. I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, the home health aides and the CNAs, I feel like, work harder or as hard as nurses do sometimes. But we'd be in a real hard pressed situation without all the wonderful nurses in the world too that do all of the skilled nursing care that only skilled nurses can do. So shout out.
Yeah. So, and I just had an experience over the weekend. I found out that I might be allergic to either peanuts or dry fruit. I don't know yet until I get tested. But I was that we went to Santa Clarita for our sports festival the week prior, and at the hotel they gave us a bottle of water and a bag of Planters peanuts mixed with dry fruit, um, and brought it home. Thursday, I got home, had to coach a class, and after I was done, I called our buddy Sarab, check in on him, and I just started noticing my lips swelling. I got blotchy, and just like something's going on. And I went out and asked my wife, "Do my lips look puffy?" And she goes, "Yeah, kind of." And so I'm looking in the mirror, just starting to scratch. My ears are itchy, and she handed me a Claritin. I took it. We waited like about 10 minutes, and she's like, "What should we do? Do you think we should go to urgent care?" I said, "Yeah." We rushed to urgent care, and by the time I got there, my lip now on the bottom is so swollen, and they said, either we call 911 right now for you, or you go right now. And she goes, "I can give you something, but I'm going to call 911. We don't have all the things we need in case your throat starts to shut off." We drive over to the hotel. My throat is now starting to close, and I can only breathe through my nose, not through my mouth. I couldn't talk. We get to ER, and they took me right back. And a good 24 hours later, I was out of the hospital. So
Man,
I had really good treatment by some really good nurses for 24 hours. And scary thing that you can develop maybe an allergy. I hope I'm not allergic to nuts, but um, shout out to all the nurses that really got me through, something that was pretty scary for at least 12 hours.
no, that is super scary, man. That's what I hope I never have to encounter any of that. Especially with something like we were talking before the show, something like a peanuts, nuts, any like that's a pretty steady staple in my diet. I feel like, but
I know.
hopefully it'll be something maybe like there was some preservative or something they used in it, maybe, or I don't know.
Hmm.
Well,
I
I guess I'll have to
What
get
I'm
some.
hoping it was the dry fruit, and dry fruit has a lot of nitrates in it. And nitrates, they put nitrates in it for to keep the coloring, or dried fruit just turns black if you have it in a package like that. So I'm hoping it's that, because I already knew I was allergic to sulfa, types of drugs. Like there's 3 bladder antibiotics that I cannot take, that have sulfa in it. It's just like so frustrating. They're like, "Oh, you can't take this," and so I've had to be on IV antibiotics for a week because I can't do the sulfa pill form of that type of drug. So
Huh.
just
I
crazy.
know, I know we're getting towards the end here, but one last thing I want to touch on is, what do you guys think about the future robot caregivers? Shout
Yeah.
out JT for asking that. I'm here for it. I think it'd be cool. I mean, if I could like automate my care process in any way where I could just like always have a machine that was there ready to go, and I have to rely on someone coming to my house or my apartment to help me or something, and like heck yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Um, but I don't know. I think there's some things like I don't foresee a Tesla Optimus robot
Is that a real
putting me in my
thing? I
lift.
didn't know that was a thing.
Um, I don't see it putting me in my Harley lift or being able to do like kind of more like stochastic tasks like that. Like that'd be a pretty advanced robot, and I don't think in my lifetime.
I
So
But
you
I'm here
don't want
for
the
it.
robot to digitally stim your butthole.
No.
Well, I mean, you make an argument there are already robots to do that for you, but
There probably is.
um, but I don't know if I trust the Tesla Optimus.
I
Maybe
don't know about
maybe
the.
maybe another maybe Boston Dynamic or like some other version. I'm just kidding.
you know we have a start. I mean, with all technology now, and asking to turn on lights and TV on, it does make it a lot easier nowadays that the units are so inexpensive compared to when I first got hurt. If I wanted to have a switch to turn on the lights or even voice, it was like $3,000, and now it's like a little outlet plug. You just
Yeah.
you can redo, and then you have that voice control. we have little starts here and there, but yeah, I don't know if we're going to be um, where an arm is
They have the arm that can feed you. They have the little arms that do the feeding, for like.
Mhm.
So I mean that they are working in that direction. I feel like.
Yeah, I know with the new those brain uh,
Yeah,
brain
uh,
chips that they're planting in quads where they can think and move that arm. It's it's
the neuro,
coming.
the Neuralink. Yeah,
Yeah.
which yeah they are testing, and it is in a quad's brain right now. I believe at least one. So
There's no, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? A robot with the parasite attachment arm,
Um,
just
pump,
like,
pump,
oh,
pump.
it goes all haywire and starts pumping water like just like ah. Uh,
oh my god.
all right, that's gonna have to be a whole nother show. I guess if they end up getting. But that is some crazy like thought for the future because I mean we all know that at some point in the future somebody's gonna try to develop something like that goes like so uh,
I
but
mean, look at technology of just how chairs have come, and with the especially with the manual chair, almost now being a power chair, in a lot of ways. I little corners here and there have helped, and hopefully down the road they make better. They're always making better catheters. Um, I'm glad that our care is a lot easier than what it was, 40 years ago. That's for sure, especially for those who are coming home from Vietnam. I mean, we have better, healthcare system in the sense of supplies that we can get a hold of, better cushions, better
I mean,
chairs.
for me, the elevate feature on the power wheelchair
that's
like
cool.
makes independence like possible for me. Like it makes my transfers possible. It makes cooking possible. It makes picking things up, and stuff possible. Getting things out of my fridge. Like I mean, I don't know if I could do any of that stuff from my manual chair. You know, like at least how my body is. There's something simple like that, like change my freaking life.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, and that's another great thing that they actually do pay for that for people now to get that seat elevator because I could definitely see how functional that is for somebody. Like,
Hmm. Absolutely. Even just the tilt and recline, for years um, in the 90s, they were doing reclining only for your pressure release. So you recline your back down and then the feet would elevate, right? So when it reclined back up, you got all this shearing. So there was tons of shearing. So just that simple fact that somebody developed where, now it just tilts. So you're not sliding all over in your chair, just the little simplest things that they can develop and make better for us is come a long way.
yeah, no, that's awesome. But all right, guys, we're actually getting here to the hour now, but that was a kind of a fun caregiving talk. Um, but let us know if you guys do have any other questions or anything in the comments.
I
I know
have a
something.
question. Ken says watch 60 Minutes on Sunday. Is it?
Oh yeah, I saw
Let
that.
us know what there was. If it was, it might
it
be
was
the.
it was a scathing report on the Orange Nazi, who's also the president of the United States of America. Uh, so
Well,
shout
that
out,
every
definitely go
60.
watch it, check it out. Hey, Daily Show was really good this week too. I love
Oh,
me Stewart,
yesterday
dude.
last night was
Oh my god,
hilarious.
so good,
Hilarious
so
when he
good.
was doing that chart, the rating chart of
I
Israel.
know, I was dying, I was dying.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't actually seen The Daily Show in a while.
Oh
Uh,
no, you have to see, especially just knowing he wants to get Alcatraz restarted. It was just great, just so
Uh,
funny.
I mean, like at least we can laugh at it. Like if like it's, I mean, if we're not laughing, we'd probably be crying because it's also fucking scary and weird. But hey, we're here,
Yeah,
baby. This isn't a political show. Let's get away from this.
yeah.
yeah, everybody. Yeah, no matter what side you're on, you are welcome here at Live to Roll. But yeah, I know we all sort of have our thoughts and opinions on the stuff and what's going on. But let's go ahead and thank our sponsors real quick.
Shout out mobility professionals. Shout out urology professionals. Did you want to do it, Shawn?
Sure, you can do it if you want, bro.
You
Go for it.
started.
Mobility pros help you out with your wheelchairs, durable medical equipment, anything you might imagine, equipment wise, standing frames and the like. They can hook you up. Not for free, but they can help you navigate your insurance and get you your equipment to little to no cost as possible. And their sister company, Urology Professionals, is a national company that provides urological supplies, catheters, and anything you can imagine urological supply related that could probably hook you up. And similarly, they'll help you get your supplies on time, consistently navigate the healthcare system. So
And yeah,
shout out.
so yeah, give them a call. All the information is down below in the description. Give them a call. Let them know Live to Roll sent you over there. And real quick, also, Ken put Neuralink implants. So maybe this Sunday is about Neuralink, possibly on 60 Minutes. I'm not sure if that's what you were saying.
Oh,
Uh,
it's probably this Sunday. Yeah, yeah.
um, all right.
I
And
think
then for the rest of the
that
week,
might be
Tom,
a story.
are you feeling up? Are you going to be up for tomorrow? Um,
Yeah,
doing
we're
some.
doing something.
All right.
Um, we're doing something.
Too bad it
Uh,
wasn't tomorrow. Wasn't Cinco de Mayo for you to make tacos, but
we
I
can
you
still do a
can
Cinco
still
de
do it.
Siete.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Uh,
never too late. It's okay.
yeah,
Mexican food
yeah.
tacos are
I was
always
thinking,
good.
I was thinking about doing nachos. I was thinking about like doing some
There
nachos.
you go. That's
Mm,
So
ish.
we might still keep it in that vein, but you just have to come and show up and find out.
There you
awesome.
go.
Yeah. So tune in tomorrow, 3:30. Tom, hang out, cook some nachos or other. And if you have any suggestions, I think Tom's open to suggestions for future
I got this. I
future
got
stuff.
this like hot pot skillet thing that I'm working on getting figured out, so we can do like some hot cooking in front of you guys and like some more kind of technical stuff. It's just my outlet over here by my PC. I got too many electronics. I'm trying to figure it out. I know a good electrician. I just got to get him down here to help me out. So figuring that out.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, check that out tomorrow. And then on Thursday, Bobby will be on with the guys doing a little rolling over the hill. Um, and then do you have your topic or just what you guys
Yeah,
talk?
we're gonna. The four of us we attended. It was online, but it was a 4 hour aging with disability conference. And Derek, if you're still in the chat, I'm gonna hit you up, see if you want to be a guest because I know you were there as well, so we can talk about what we learned, which wasn't a whole hell of a lot, but some of the topics they brought up and those little reminders and kind of one thing that I know coming away from that was everything that I kind of feared or was worried about with aging, or is this normal? It was like that for a lot of people. So
Awesome.
What
Yeah,
was
that's
the
super cool.
what was it?
Yeah, what was
it
it
was.
by?
I think it came through the Dana and Christopher Reeves somehow. My wife got the email. She's a peer mentor for wives and girlfriends through the Christopher Reeves Foundation, and she got the email and she's like, "Hey, you might want to attend this." And sent it over, and it was free to attend online. There was probably 80 people, 75 people. So, and as the show or as the conference was going on, I noticed Derek was in there. So I was like, oh, I
Oh,
know Derek.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'll have to, if you can, maybe send me or if they have like even just the Christopher and Dana Reeve link, if they have like other things like that, I can try to put in the description for people if there's future stuff like that
Is
happening.
there like a video of it that you can still watch?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, if anybody wants a video, I can email it to you. They sent that out to us, so I'll get it to you, Tom.
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah, and
guys,
just
and
hit me
then
up on Instagram if anybody else wants the email that video. Um, email message me on Instagram your email.
awesome. And then next week, if you guys we'll be back on the Tuesday again. with another great show. And actually, next week we have, I guess, Lindsay coming on from Wheel Girl or Wheel Motherhood, Wheel Good Motherhood, and talking about some Mother's Day kind of stuff. Since we'll be just following Mother's Day this weekend. So
Cool.
cool guest for you guys next week, and then also we will have the girls will be on next week. Brianna, Nikki, Ashley, Maya, and Jessica doing Wheel Girl Talk. So check them out on the Thursday as well. Um, and Tom will be back for another cooking. So hopefully, maybe you guys can shoot him some suggestions for next week.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thanks everybody for watching. We do appreciate you guys. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, click that bell for notifications, and yeah, we appreciate everybody. Live to roll.
Live the rope.